Hello and welcome to another one of D's ADD videos. Today we're going to look at finding the instantaneous rate of change, or IRC, for this function here, add x equals 1. So if you remember, there was two methods that I went over. One, take the derivative using the definition of the derivative and then plug in the a at the end because the derivative is rate of change everywhere. Whereas in the method 2, you do it at the beginning. You plug in the x equals a right here and then evaluate. I'll go over the short method 2 first, and then for those of you that don't believe that it's easier, I'll do the other way second. Okay, so looking at that first, let's do the f prime of 1 will equal limit as h approaches 0 of f of 1 plus h minus f of 1 all over h. So what does that mean? That means everywhere we see an x, we plug in a 1 plus h. So that would be 1 plus h squared minus 3 times 1 plus h minus 18. So at that point, what happens is we can find f of 1. If you wanted to, you could simplify this further and then plug it in. I'm just going to find f of 1. So plug in a 1 everywhere you see an x. So that's going to be 1 minus 3 minus 18. So that's going to give you a negative 21 plus 1 is a negative 20. So let's plug that into our expression. So that was when you plug in that f of x, or a plus h, or 1 plus h in this case, minus your f of 1 on top, you get that, and then it's all over h. So at this point, what we do is we simplify a little bit. So I'm going to pause the video and simplify. And when you FOIL this first expression, you get this 1 plus 2h squared. Either do FOIL or box method, or you could just square the first one, square the last one, and then twice the product of these two things. Then distribute your minus 3 through, and then minus minus gives you plus. So now we can do some canceling. Let's do some canceling. Negative 3 minus 18 is negative 21, plus 1 is negative 20, plus 20 is 0. All that's gone. So now all that you're left with is (2h plus h squared minus 3h over h. Combine your like terms. And you get h squared minus h over h. At this point, if you plug in, you'd get 0, 0. If you remember, that's indeterminate. So we factor out the h that's common, or you could split this apart. I'm just going to factor it out. That way it can cancel. And then if h approaches 0, oh, running out of space there. You get a negative 1. So a quick check, if you want to do the shortcut method, it's always handy to check your work if you can. you'd go back to this function. The derivative of that is going to be 2x. You bring that down, minus 3, and you'd get f prime of 1 hopefully is a negative 1, and indeed in this case it is. So we know we did that correctly, and that's basically it. So what did I do? I went off to the side, figured out what f of 1 plus h was. It's plugging in a 1 plus h everywhere you see an x, and then figured out f of 1, plugged in a 1 everywhere I saw an x, plugged into the main formula, okay, main formula being the a plus h. In this case our a was 1. And then after I plugged in to there and that, I simplified, canceled, and then reevaluated once I got to this point. Alright? So if you want to watch the long method of doing this, I will do a separate video. I don't want to make this any longer than it has to be. So check that out, or do it for yourself. Okay? So you would take the derivative using the definition of the derivative. This is the long way. And then after you do that, you would plug in whatever x equals. In this case, it was x equals 1. All right? Now, unless they specify for you to use the definition of the derivative, don't do it. Okay? If they don't want you to use this formula, or if you've learned the shortcut method, the power rule and the chain rule, all those rules, go ahead and use those. But if you have yet to learn those, this is the way you have to do it. If there's any doubt in your mind, just ask your TA or your professor. So I hope I've cleared up any confusion that you might have. Practice, practice, practice. Thank you and have a nice day.